Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to be swapping out the driver's side CV axle. Why I'm swapping it out is because the boot is throwing grease all over the place. I would not have seen that if I didn't crawl under. But what prompted me was that there was an intermittent clunking going up and down curbs, that sort of thing. So that prompted me to crawl under. I saw the grease being flung everywhere, and voila, here we are. So I'm gonna swap it out. These are probably the original CV axles from 2009. I am the second owner, and we bought it at around 60,000 miles, so I doubt that the axles were ever replaced. So at 130,000 miles right now, I'm sure they're due to be replaced anyways. Here is what it looks like underneath. You can see all the grease being flung around the wheel. You can see the boot itself there. There's grease everywhere, the brake caliper, grease over there at the tie rod. So yeah, we're gonna have to clean this out as well. If you look on the outside of the wheel, you can't really tell anything. It looks pretty clean. So you would not have been able to tell that there was grease being flung under there. Just a little bit up here on the strut. Here is what the carnage looks like. That is the axle that goes into the differential. Goes all the way out to the knuckle. And we just gotta figure out how to get all this stuff out of the way. So we're gonna take off some of this bracketry here for the ABS and then for the brake line over here. We have two options. We can either take these two bolts off of the strut tower, I guess, or we can go underneath to the lower ball joint. I hate messing with ball joints. I might just go with these two right here. Here on the axle nut, you have a little divot here by design, so you're gonna have to punch that back out and then undo this axle nut. It is a 36 millimeter socket. I'm gonna tackle these two bolts next. These are 24 millimeter bolts, and then there's nuts on this side. I'm using an adjustable plier to hold them, and then let's just blast through them. Alright, let's take the brake calipers off now. Just using a wrench to push the brake cylinder in, so when I go and reinstall it, it should be easier. It's not a struggle. Well, they're dual piston. I only did the one, but the bottom one didn't have trouble, and it fits on rather okay, so later on it shouldn't be a problem. I'm just gonna try to rig something over here out of the way so I have clear space to work, but also close enough so I'm not stretching the brake line. All right, back out here, we're gonna wiggle this thing off.
Oh, come here.
Okay. All right, so far so good. The axle is apart from the knuckle or the hub here. It's just kind of laid to the side. And now, probably the hardest part out of all CV axle replacements is getting that part out of the differential. So let's get to it. Because there is a shelf. If you can see over here, there's a like aluminum shelf over here, so you cannot access from that side. Go to your tool chest and get an assortment of pry tools, pry bars, and try your best. Bam, there you go. This nail thinger, roofer, Home Depot. Be careful with the seal. I don't plan on replacing the seal around here. Just don't gouge it. You should be fine just sticking a new axle in. A lot of people argue probably just to replace the boot just because the boot was torn, but I'm replacing the whole thing because one, I think it's just easier, and two, this is probably the original axle from Honda in 2009, so I think it's about time. Here's what it looks like, the brand new one. Not rebuilt, it's brand new from Napa. I've always gone with Napa brand new CV axles. They've treated me great. That's the OEM one. Just a little side by side. It's a good habit to get into when you're placing something, to just do a visual check. Make sure overall everything's gonna fit. The length is about the same. I think we'll be alright. And if you aren't familiar with axles, they're held on in the differential with this ring here. And when something cylindrical presses it, then it compresses together and it fits through a tight space, and then when it's past that tight space, it expands again. There we go. Take the opportunity to brake clean everything on the inside. And you should clean it because leaks are what tell you what's wrong, you know, sometimes. And you want a clean slate to start off with. So next time if you see some other leak, maybe we properly or improperly installed this and there's a leak, or I don't know, there's something else, like another boot torn or something, then we can figure out where it's leaking from. Put the nut on ASAP so I can help hold things together. And then these two bolts up here. Come on. Ah, there you go. Make sure to connect the ABS sensor again. Tighten these up with a 10 mil. Make sure to clean the rotor again. My oily hands was touching it earlier. It's part of the bracket for the caliper. And now let's fish our caliper back from where we tied it off. Putting things back together is always easiest, most of the time. Don't forget your brake bracket. Alright, so for the axle nut, this is the new nut. We're not reusing it. Most new CV axles will come with a new axle nut. And then use whatever tool you can find. I have one of these flat looking things. I'm just gonna put it right here and just punch it. Here, let me show you a closer look. Because you don't want this axle nut to back off. So we're gonna chisel it right here on this lip of the nut here, so that it traps itself here, so it doesn't it won't have the tendency to undo itself. And there you have it. That's what it looks like. Just a quick little video on CV axle replacement, specifically on the 09 Honda Pilot. They're all pretty straightforward. They're all pretty similar as far as front wheel drive goes. Well, this one's 4-wheel drive, but anyways, you get the point. You know, a couple little differences here and there. It's not my first CV axle. It's actually, if you have basic tools, you could totally do this yourself. There's really nothing technical about it. You just go in, see what you need to move out of the way to replace the part you need to replace, such as the CV axle. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, comment down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching the video. See you next time.